what is the impact between nutrition, the food in which we eat, and also perhaps brain fog or perhaps even mental health?
There are several really important things. One of the things that has concerned me in particular is the risk of Alzheimer's disease. I mean, make a list of all the diseases you never want to get in your life, and the top of the list is Alzheimer's disease, because I mean, you lose everything. And researchers have shown that the very same fatty foods that cause heart attacks also appear to increase the risk of Alzheimer's disease, and by a lot. I'm talking about bacon grease and dairy fat and all that kind of stuff. The saturated fat is one of many drivers. But when we're speaking of brain health, we're not only speaking of sort of later life dementia. We're also talking about how you feel today or this morning. And we have done a number of studies where we have been looking at when people start a plant-based diet to lose weight or to tackle diabetes or something like that. We also kind of surreptitiously track what's happening with how they feel, what's going on with their mood. And you can do this with paper and pencil tests. You can rate depression, you can rate anxiety, you can look at job absenteeism. Are you able to work or not, and that kind of thing. And what we find quite consistently is that when people follow plant-based diets, depression goes down, anxiety goes down, job absenteeism goes down, all these things go down. Now, then the next question is why? And I think there are several reasons. I think part of it is, let's face it, if you lose 30 or 45 pounds, you feel better. You know, you feel just as you were saying, you feel more power, you feel, for want of a better word, you just feel pumped up because you've conquered problems. You know, when you no longer have diabetes, I mean, that feels fantastic. When your doctor says, I'm going to cut your medicines in half. No, I'm going to take you off your medicine. Those all feel fantastic. But there's more to it. You mentioned the gut microbiome, the bacteria that are in your digestive tract. A meaty, dairy-rich diet fosters the growth of unhealthy bacteria. Plant-based foods, beans, vegetables, whole grains, fruits, they really foster the growth of healthy bacteria that feed back to the brain. They make neurotransmitters themselves. And finally, when we look at people who have depression, they very often have a chronic inflammatory condition in their body. Their cells are making inflammatory compounds that affect the brain. On a plant-based diet, the inflammation goes down, they feel better. So why do people feel better? Why is their energy better? Why is their depression down? Is it because physically they're healthier and that just makes you pumped up? Is it that their gut is healthier? Is it that they're not so inflamed? Is it something else? The answer is all of the above.
In terms of the Alzheimer's prevention, are there any Dr. Neal Barnard's power foods which you could suggest to us which would be great in preventing or perhaps even maybe reversing some effects caused by Alzheimer's?
Certain things I would favor and certain things I would not favor. The things to get away from, we already mentioned. The foods that are high in bad fat, saturated fat, dairy, that's number one. Get away from the dairy, the cheese. Yes, I know that some people watching this program, they say, look, I'm addicted to cheese. I can't live without it. I feel your pain, but cheese doesn't love you back. It's a maladaptive relationship, and it's time to end it now. And that's true for meat. You know, meat is the second biggest source of saturated fat after cheese and dairy products. Breaking up with them is a really great idea. Let me also suggest snack foods that often have the trans fats in them. Get away from those. And there's a special place in hell for people who are ruining healthy plant-based foods. You can have wonderful vegan foods, but over the past couple of years, people are packing coconut oil and palm oil in them, and that's not healthy. That's a saturated fat too. So look for the ones that don't have that. Be careful about your cookware. Don't cook in aluminum pots and pans if the aluminum is touching the food, because aluminum can be a brain toxin too. Same with iron. We're in love with our cast iron pan, but especially for men. You know, women in their reproductive years will lose a little bit of blood every month, and so their iron levels tend to stay low. Older women and men at any age tend to store too much iron, and iron can goof up the brain too. So I'm a big fan of stainless steel cookware or non-stick cookware, not the aluminum and not the iron. So with regard to things so that's all the stuff to not do. The things to do, before I get to food, Do lace up your sneakers and go out for a good run, because if you get your heart pumping, it gets oxygen to the brain, it gets the toxins out, so exercise is good. Do make sure you sleep. Yes, I know there's a lot of great stuff to stay awake for on the internet, but it's good to knock off once in a while and let your brain rest. Your brain needs to rest. But with regard to food, there are 4 food groups that are important: vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans. But within them, look for color. The carrots or sweet potatoes, yams, that orange color is beta carotene. That's an antioxidant. That's important. Tomatoes, that red color, that's lycopene. That's an antioxidant. Vitamin E rich foods, those are the nuts and seeds. Those are antioxidants. Think about blueberries, grapes. The pigments you're often a guide to antioxidants that have protected the plant, and they can protect you too. So eat for color.
Interesting that you mentioned tomatoes. Are you not a believer in this argument for lectins and the avoidance of them?
No, I don't think lectins are really important, to tell you the truth. I know there's been kind of a fad to avoid lectins. And I think the thing to recognize is that there are a lot of compounds in plants. If you were to eat raw beans, dried beans, first of all, you would break a tooth trying to do that. And if you did, you would get a lot of lectins. But when you cook them, it really becomes a non-issue. So I don't think you need to worry about lectins. The reason I mentioned tomatoes is at half a mile away, you can see the lycopene that's in them. That's what makes them a bright red color. And lycopene isn't just it's a cousin of beta carotene. The orange carrot has beta carotene. Lycopene is the tomato version of that, and it's an antioxidant that will help protect you against oxidative processes.